What if I told you that the cure for your foggy mind, your endless fatigue, that feeling of just not caring anymore, has been sitting in your grandmother's pantry all along? Right now, as you watch this, there's a plant that Big Pharma bottles up and sells for hundreds of dollars a month. But 70 years ago, your great-grandparents ate it 3 times a week and never paid a dime. This isn't some exotic superfood from the Amazon. This isn't a rare herb that costs $50 an ounce. This is something so common, so ordinary that we feed it to livestock, and that's exactly why they wanted us to forget it. Because here's what they don't want you to know. Inside this humble bean lives the exact same molecule that doctors prescribe for Parkinson's disease. The same chemical your brain is crying out for when you can't get motivated, when colors seem duller, when life feels like you're moving through mud. And 10,000 years ago, before laboratories, before pharmaceutical companies, before anyone even knew what a neurotransmitter was, ancient farmers looked at this plant and said, this is the one we plant first. Not wheat, not barley, this bean. They were burying it in tombs. They were carrying seeds across continents before there were roads. Roman soldiers wouldn't march without it. Medieval healers called it the bean of balance. And then, in less than 100 years, we erased it from memory and called it poor man's food. But the story gets stranger. In 1913, a scientist cracked open this bean and found something that would change medicine forever. He isolated a molecule so powerful that within 25 years, it became the foundation for treating one of the most devastating brain diseases known to man. The pharmaceutical industry built empires on it. And yet the bean, the source, the thing that grew it naturally in every backyard garden vanished. Now here's where it gets personal for you and me. Do you remember when you used to wake up excited about the day? When you had energy that lasted past noon? When your mind was sharp and you didn't need to write everything down because you'd forget it 5 minutes later? That wasn't just youth, that was chemistry. Your brain was making something it's struggling to make now. And what you've been told is just normal aging, just something you have to accept. That's not the whole truth. Because researchers recently did something extraordinary. They took people whose brains were failing them, people who shuffled when they walked, whose hands trembled, whose minds moved slower every day. And they gave them this bean, not a pill, not a synthetic drug, just the bean prepared the right way. And something remarkable happened. Their plasma levels of the healing compound shot up just like the expensive medication. But here's what stunned the doctors. The effects lasted longer. Patients felt clear-headed for more hours of the day. Their bodies moved smoother. Their minds felt awake. One bean, the same bean Roman physicians prescribed for melancholy 2,000 years ago. The same bean that archaeologists found sealed in clay jars from 8,000 years before Christ. And when they opened those jars in 2015, you know what? Those seeds could still grow. Think about that, 10,000-year-old seeds, still alive, still carrying the same power. This plant wants to survive. It wants to give this to us. And we turned our backs on it because someone decided it looked too peasant, too common, too beneath us. But your brain doesn't care about status. Your brain knows what it needs. And right now, in this moment, millions of people are walking around with depression, with brain fog, with that hollow feeling of just existing instead of living, and they're being told they need expensive prescriptions with side effects that create new problems. Meanwhile, this bean sits in the bulk section of the grocery store for $2 a pound. Now I need to tell you something important before we go further. This isn't for everyone, and that's crucial. There's a genetic condition. It runs in Mediterranean and African families especially, where this bean can actually be dangerous. The ancient Greek philosopher Pythagoras, he banned his followers from eating it, and he wasn't being superstitious. He knew some bodies can't handle this much power. So if you have G6PD deficiency, this is not for you. You need to know that. This information could save your life in both directions. But for the rest of us, for those whose genetic makeup can handle it, we are sitting on forgotten medicine. Here's what the scientists found when they finally bothered to look closely. This compound L-dopa, it does something almost no other molecule can do. It crosses the blood-brain barrier. That's the fortress wall your brain puts up to keep most things out, but this walks right through like it has a key. And once it's inside, it transforms directly into dopamine. That's the neurotransmitter that makes you feel motivated, that makes colors brighter, that makes you want to get out of bed and do something with your day. When you're low on dopamine, everything becomes harder. Not just movement, though that's what we see in Parkinson's, but focus, drive, joy, the ability to feel reward from anything. Recent studies are now linking inflammation in the frontal lobe of your brain, that's a major cause of depression, directly to dopamine deficiency. Your brain isn't broken, it's starving. And the food it needs, we stopped eating it when we decided we were too sophisticated for beans. The ancient world understood this in ways we're only now rediscovering. When Egyptian pharaohs died, they were buried with treasures, with gold, with jewels, and with these beans, because they believed these beans held power between worlds. They weren't entirely wrong, they just didn't have our language for it. What they called spiritual power, we now call neurochemistry. Medieval herbalists, they didn't have brain scans, they didn't understand synapses, but they watched what happened when someone in deep melancholy, what we'd call clinical depression now, when that person ate these beans consistently. They watched the darkness lift, they watched people come back to life. So they kept records, they passed down knowledge. They called it the bean of balance because it balanced something in the body that nothing else could touch. Then we got rich, we got modern, we decided meat 3 times a day was progress. We decided that anything poor people ate must be inferior. In Britain, where these beans had fed the population for 5,000 years, they disappeared from kitchens within a single generation. Suddenly, they were only good enough for cows. And you know what happened next? By the early 2000s, depression rates had climbed to levels humanity had never seen. Parkinson's diagnoses doubled. ADHD became epidemic. Brain fog became so common we thought it was just part of getting older. The brain was screaming for help, and doctors did what they're trained to do. They wrote prescriptions, synthetic L-dopa, dopamine agonists, antidepressants that try to squeeze more use out of whatever dopamine is left. Some of those medications help. I'm not here to tell you to throw away your prescriptions, but what if I told you that the molecule in those bottles, you could grow it in your backyard? What if the side effects of the natural version were better nutrient absorption, better soil for next year's garden, and a high-protein food that your ancestors thrived on? That's not alternative medicine, that's just dinner. Dinner the way humans ate it for 10,000 years before we forgot. Now here's where this gets really interesting. NASA, the people planning missions to Mars, they're studying this bean right now. Because when you're going to be in a tin can in the darkness of space for months, maybe years, you need food that does more than fill your stomach. You need something that fixes nitrogen so you can grow other crops. You need high protein. And you need something that keeps your brain chemistry stable when you're millions of miles from home and everything is dark and nothing is familiar. They're looking at this bean, the same one we dismissed as peasant food. Universities across Europe are racing to identify every bioactive compound in it, everything that might protect against neurodegeneration. And what they're finding is this wasn't just one miracle. This bean is packed with compounds that modern brains are desperate for. But the most important rediscovery isn't happening in laboratories. It's happening in gardens. It's happening in kitchens. It's happening when someone decides to try what their great-grandmother knew. Because this plant, unlike the fragile crops we baby in modern gardens, this one is tough. It wants winter. While everything else is sleeping, you push these big seeds 2 inches into cold ground. Doesn't matter if it's freezing, as long as the soil isn't solid ice, these seeds say bring it on. They build roots all winter long, massive, deep roots, and the moment spring sun hits, they explode upward. While your neighbors are just starting to plant, you're already harvesting. And here's the gift they give back. Those roots, they're doing something invisible but incredible. They're hosting bacteria that pull nitrogen straight out of the air and fix it into your soil. You don't fertilize them, they fertilize everything you plant after them. Ancient farmers knew this. That's why they planted beans before grain, not just for food, to heal the land. Every tomato plant, every ear of corn you grow after these beans will be bigger, stronger, healthier. The bean was there first and it left medicine in the ground. When they grow tall, here's the secret the old cottage gardeners knew. Pinch the tops off, just the top few inches. Sounds brutal, but it's brilliant. It stops aphids from clustering there, and more importantly, it forces every bit of that plant's energy down into the pods. Bigger harvest, concentrated power. And when you harvest them young, tender, sweet, don't boil them into grey mush like the sad cafeteria version. Roast them, toss them in olive oil, sprinkle some cumin and sea salt, roast them until golden. That crunch, that flavor, that's medicine you'll actually crave. Or blend them fresh with garlic and cilantro into a bright green paste. That's bioavailable healing. That's your brain getting what it's been asking for. This isn't about going backward. This is about remembering forward, taking ancient wisdom and combining it with modern understanding. Your brain was never meant to run on processed food and synthetic chemicals alone. For 10,000 years, humans ate foods that naturally supported the exact neurotransmitters we need to feel alive. Then in 1 century, we replaced all of it with food that's been stripped of everything our neurons require. And we wonder why depression feels like an epidemic, why brain fog is normal, why we need 6 cups of coffee just to feel half awake. These aren't just diseases, these are messages. Your brain is asking for what we stopped giving it. And the answer never stopped growing, it just waited for us to stop being too proud to bend down and pick it up. This bean-clothed Bronze Age armies, it sustained civilizations through famine, it crossed continents before there were maps. Roman soldiers wouldn't march without it, medieval peasants survived winters on it, your great-grandmother knew its worth. And it's still here, still offering the same gifts, still carrying the same power in every seed. The question isn't whether this knowledge is lost, the question is whether we're ready to remember. If this opened something for you, if you felt that spark of recognition, hit that subscribe button. Share this with someone whose mind needs this message, because this wisdom doesn't belong to me, it belongs to all of us, and it's time we took it back. The garden is waiting, your brain is waiting, and the bean, patient as always, is still ready to do what it's done for 10,000 years. Feed us, heal us, bring us back to life.